And happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
And for all of you who want to turn the page, you can't. It's still Christmas.
Yes, we have. I forget what day of the.
It's two turtle doves.
Two turtle
and
doves.
so in the staff lounge, waiting for you, is two turtle doves to take
Two
home.
turtle doves.
Yes,
Okay.
yesterday
okay.
would have been Christmas Day, partridge, pear tree.
Okay, so it starts with the partridge and the pear tree.
Yeah.
Now, each day, do you also have to buy with the turtle doves? Does it have to be a second partridge and a pear tree?
Yeah, right. By the time you get done, you'll have a dozen.
A dozen partridges.
Partridges and a orchard of pear trees.
An orchard of pear trees. Is that how it goes? I mean,
No, I think
feel
it's just
like
one a day. Just one a day.
I feel like they could cut down the song then. Like they don't have to.
Yeah, but then you don't have the 12 days of Christmas.
Well, I'm just
Or
saying.
do you want to simplify the gifts?
No, what I'm saying is with the song, I feel like you could just go from, on the first day was a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
Second day, two turtle doves, and you don't have to mention the partridge.
Oh, you don't have to go backwards.
You don't have to go backwards.
Yeah. It's kind of like that 99 bottles of beer on the wall, right? It seems
Yeah.
a little redundant, right?
It does seem a little, just a little, and I unless you want to continue to buy, 10 Lords of Leaping
Yeah.
for the, each of the other days.
Because if I do my math right, that would eventually be like 30 Lords of Leaping at day
Yeah.
10, right?
Yeah.
It's the things we think about when we have spare time. Or it's the things we think about when we are so tired from all the work we've done this Christmas season.
Yes.
It's one of the two.
Yes.
So we hope you're doing well. And yes, it is now the 26th of December, but in the church we understand that the season of Christmas lasts until Epiphany.
Okay.
And Epiphany is really an extension of Christmas in some ways, because an epiphany is an aha moment, and in some ways it's like, yeah, Christ was born, but now everybody knows it. Epiphany is, aha, there it is.
Yeah, because
And-
it does take that internal realization. So
That's
yeah,
right.
We look forward to that next season too. But right now we're in Christmas.
That's right. So I hope you had a very peace-filled, non-hectic, non-conflict-filled Christmas Day. I just hope it was peaceful. Yeah. And I would assume, and I'm not one of these people, I would assume that the retail outlets around our valley are buzzing with people either returning stuff or trying to catch post-Christmas sales. That would be my assumption today.
That's part of it too, I
Yep.
suppose.
And I want nothing to do with that.
You're not going to join into the holiday traffic.
I am not. I'm not going to contribute to a already existing problem.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah, right. Instead, we just, quietly live my life at church. But, overall, you think, I know we have a broadcast on Thursday, and then this coming Sunday is, the 31st, the end of the year. But, as I'm thinking about, what another wonderful year here at church that we've had.
Yes, and it's good to reflect on that too.
Yeah.
Because this is, for us, the breather is thinking of Christmas, but at the same time to reflect on this past year.
Yeah,
that's-
and just been a wonderful year of what I call doing life together and celebrating our 50 years together as a church, including, we go back to Pentecost. So that's the season right after Easter and the day of Pentecost. Remember, the church is born in the book of Acts, and that Sunday we did a combined worship at 9:30, and then came out of that and had a 50th anniversary celebration brunch at 11 o'clock in the fellowship hall, and we just had this wonderful morning together as a church, both worshiping and then eating. And that was the Sunday we gave out the 50th anniversary pins, the lapel pins that we had
Right.
made.
Gosh, we did do a lot this year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
And we had memories throughout the year of things in our history. And luckily, we had some great footage. And there was some that we never even got to. We still have some great 50th anniversary, well, now to be 51 years. Some other historical footage that we we just didn't have time to get to this year.
Yeah.
So maybe
No.
we'll still show it at
I
some
think
point.
so.
Yeah.
We'll find a place.
And so all sorts of different reflections in this past year that are just beautiful, beyond the wonderfulness of the Christmas season Advent and Christmas season that we had. And so, I look back and say, what a good year we had.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it doesn't change the fact that we're still in the heart of Christmas, and we have a song for you, and it's a hymn, but it's a hymn that it's a new hymn to me in terms of the lyrics of this hymn, and probably most likely it was a hymn from the United Methodist Church. And that's not that we don't sing Methodist hymns. It's just that I wasn't familiar with this
Right.
one.
We're familiar with the ones that we grew up with.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it is a Christmas hymn, and I hope you enjoy it. We're going to talk about it when we come back. So enjoy.
There's a song in the air, there's a star in the sky, there's a mother's deep prayer, and a baby's low cry. Aye, the star rains its fire while the beautiful sing, for the manger of Bethlehem cradles a king. In the light of that star lie the ages impearled, and that song from afar has swept over the world. Every hearth is aflame, and the beautiful sing in the homes of the nations that Jesus is King. We rejoice in the light, and we echo the song that comes down through the night from the heavenly throng. Aye, we shout to the lovely evangel they bring, and we greet in his cradle our Savior and King.
So if you didn't catch at the end of the 3 verses is mentioning the idea of Jesus as king. Verse
Yes.
1, the manger of Bethlehem cradles a king.
Cradles a king.
In the home of nations that Jesus is king.
Yes.
And then we greet in his cradle our Savior and King.
Yeah.
So there's this reference to king, and we're gonna talk about that. But the author of this hymn, who I did not know, his name is Josiah Gilbert Holland.
I have not met him either.
No. And a little bit before our time, lived between 1819 and 1881. But this guy, now that I've heard about him, clearly was like, I don't even want to call him a Renaissance man.
Really?
This guy's a Renaissance. Listen to
Okay.
this. He was a novelist, an essayist, a poet, wrote under a pseudonym, and he wrote hymns. This is a Renaissance guy. He was, and somebody quoted him. They said he was the most successful man of letters in the United States of that time. Man of letters is an ancient term meaning scholar. He had
Okay.
credentials, and so in the 19th century, this guy had it going on in the United States. He was an American. He was the first to publish a poet of color in the United States, and among the first of literary movements known as realism. And I'm not sure what that is, but he published A Person of Color for the first time in poetry and developed a style called realism. He wrote and edited a monthly magazine called Scribner's Monthly, and then that became the Century magazine. Even novels that he wrote appeared in those magazines. And back then, that was a common thing, that someone would essentially write a book and they'd put a chapter in episodically. And that was a different way of publishing. So you'd have a magazine subscription and there's a chapter of a book and you'd want to get the next. So it's kind of like a serial, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he wrote novels that ended up in these magazines. He wrote poetry. And then, if that wasn't enough, he also wrote the words to this hymn, There's a Song in the Air. Like, that's something.
That's something. Yeah, good
Right?
for him.
So if you're interested in learning more about him, you can look up Josiah Gilbert Holland. That is the gentleman who wrote this hymn.
Okay.
So when I was thinking about this hymn with those taglines of Jesus as King, I was like, okay, we've probably exhausted in the Christmas season talking about, a king comes to us, for unto us a child is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. We've covered that in Advent, and thinking about Jesus as King. We've, this weekend coming up, we're going to talk about the